The hundreds of students disenrolled from Howard University just weeks before moving. I want you to know this. In Maryland, we've got your back.
As a graduate of Howard University, I can tell you with full confidence that my future kid will never, ever step foot on that campus. For no reason. The buck stops here.
502 incoming freshmen were unenrolled from Howard University just weeks before they were supposed to move into their dorms. And these weren't students who got rejected or waitlisted. They had already been accepted, and they were ready to start their college journey at one of the most prestigious HBCUs in the country. But then, out of nowhere, Howard told them their spot was gone. So what happened? Their crime was missing a payment deadline. That's literally it. Some of them were waiting on financial aid to come through. Some were waiting on external scholarships. And some say they never even got the notification about the deadline in the first place.
When I was promised and told by people that what I was doing was okay, that everything was fine, and that my scholarships could come through later, and then I'm suddenly unenrolled from my dream school.
But here's why this story really blew up. You have two very different reactions. On one side, you have people dragging Howard and saying they need to fix this ASAP because this hurts the prestige of the school. But on the flip side, some folks, including some former Howard graduates, are saying that this is a blessing in disguise for those unenrolled students because Howard is not what most people think it is.
So much of Black elitism is rooted in anti-Blackness. So much of Black elitism is rooted in supremacy. From the things that they aspire to possess, from the careers that they aspire to have, from the lifestyles that they aspire to live, it is literally rooted in being as far from Black issues and Black problems and resembling anything that has to do with Blackness as possible.
And now DL Hughley also joined the chat with his perspective. So let's break down exactly what happened and why Howard is always in the headlines over some mess. So this all started on July 22nd, when Howard University sent out a wave of emails to 502 incoming freshmen, telling them they had missed a critical July 10th deadline to either pay their tuition, enroll in a payment plan, or get their financial aid and scholarship documentation squared away. And as a result, their spots for the fall 2026 semester were gone. Now, Howard's official position is that they were just following the rules. They put out a statement saying they had provided multiple detailed communications throughout March, April, May, June, and July about tuition requirements, payment plans, and deadlines, how university claims, and what students say they experienced. A spokesperson for Howard actually declined to provide ABC News with the documentation of the notifications they claimed to have sent out. On top of that, the school admitted that it's been standard practice to unenroll a small number of students in the past for missed deadlines. But this year, they appointed new enrollment officials who are cracking down even harder on missed payments. So even the university admits this year was different. Now, some of the students were eventually reinstated after their cases were reviewed individually, but that still leaves hundreds of students who are out of luck, and now they're scrambling to find a new college just weeks before the semester started. So after this blew up in the press, Maryland Governor Wes Moore announced that the state would step up for Maryland residents who had been disenrolled from Howard. He said they would offer expedited admissions support to University System of Maryland schools and an $800 credit to help offset the non-refundable deposits these students had already paid to Howard.
That's why my administration is working with the University of Maryland System schools to provide expedited admissions and financial aid options to those impacted. So if you were impacted, you can also receive an $800 credit to help offset your non-refundable Howard deposit.
DL Hughley was the first to show support for Governor Moore's plan, and he reposted his announcement on Instagram. The caption said, "So very happy and proud of this. Thank you, Governor Wes Moore, for helping the students of Howard." Meanwhile, DL also pointed out in his interview with Vlad TV that the wealthiest Black people in America are either entertainers or educated professionals who went to HBCUs.
The richest people, Black people in America, are people who play professional sports and people who attended HBCUs. They're the corporate officers, the judges, the lawyers, the creme de la creme.
A young man who graduated from Howard went viral after posting a video about how Howard isn't for the advancement of Black youth, it's really for the preservation of certain ideas about Blackness.
As a graduate of Howard University, I can tell you with full confidence that my future kid will never, ever step foot on that campus. For no reason. The buck stops here. There are several regurgitated talking points at Howard University, and one of the big ones is Black people are not a monolith. Though true, that is not personified at Howard University. Culturally, these people might be different. This person might be from the Caribbean. This person might be from Detroit. This person might be from the South. but economically, they occupy the same space. In fact, finding someone who is not rich at Howard University is so rare that when you do find them, you realize that they got there through like extreme circumstances. Bill Gates had to give them some money because they're just so smart. Or like in my case, life just happened. You know, my dad blew up, my mom on disability. When that happens, you get something free. When you go to a school where you're a fish out of water economically, you start realizing that college doesn't mean the same thing to everybody else. Going to Howard is like getting a Mercedes as your first car when that Impala works perfectly. It's nothing more than a status symbol. These people knew that they could afford a car. Or in this case, they knew that they could go to college. They went to Howard to signal something to a certain demographic. At its core, Howard is not for the advancement of black youth. It's really for the preservation of certain ideas about blackness. And when you're not in on that joke, you don't get it. So then you walk around thinking, hey man, I'm trying to fight the power, I'll be revolutionary, I'm trying to better myself. And they're like, huh? What are you talking about, brother? We're rich. That being said, Howard is not for black youth, it's not for black advancement. It's for a certain black person. And based on statistics, it's probably not you. So just go to a state school.
Now, this doesn't mean Howard isn't a great institution. It is. But a lot of people are now starting to ask a bigger question. Who is Howard really for? And the classism and elitism that people are talking about on TikTok isn't new. It's actually baked into Howard's DNA, going back more than a century. Howard University was founded in 1866 by a white Union general named Oliver Otis Howard, and it was originally supported by the Freedmen's Bureau, the federal agency created to help formerly enslaved people transition to freedom. So right from the start, you have this tension. An institution created for black advancement, but funded and controlled by white power structures. And that tension never really went away. Now, W.E.B. Du Bois had this idea called the talented tenth, the belief that a small, educated black elite would lift the rest of the race up. And Howard was basically built to embody that vision. But here's the problem. This created an institution more invested in creating an elite class than in the genuine uplifting of black people in America. Howard has also historically depended on white philanthropy, which means they had to make a lot of compromises. And then it gets even more uncomfortable when you add in colorism. Many people don't want to talk about this, but color prejudice has been a part of Howard's history from the very beginning. It actually used to be common practice for Howard applicants to attach photos to their applications because the student's skin tone was evaluated as part of the admissions process. Then you had the social organizations. Certain sororities at Howard would subject their pledges to what was called the paper bag test, where a pledge's skin tone would be compared to a brown paper bag. And if her skin was darker than the bag, she was not admitted. So this basically created a culture at Howard where proximity to whiteness and wealth determined who belonged and who didn't. So when you hear former Howard students on TikTok talking about how the university isn't really about black advancement, but about advancing a certain idea of blackness, this is what they're talking about. It's an institution that has historically rewarded a specific kind of black person, the one who fits a certain aesthetic, has a certain amount of money, and presents a certain polished image to the world. And what happened to those 502 students wasn't just a one-time mistake. It was a symptom of that same elitist mindset, because at the end of the day, the students who got caught in this mess were overwhelmingly the ones without the financial safety net, and that's not a coincidence. But I want to hear your thoughts on all this. Was Howard justified in enforcing the deadline? And do you think Howard's reputation is still deserved? Or does this scandal expose a deeper problem with how the institution operates? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one.